The Yankees are right where they deserve to be. Through 6 games, right at 500, 3-3. And of course, this is coming off another home extra inning loss. So keep that in mind. But only 6 games in, but it's already become frustrating. The things that we're seeing, it's the same exact trends. So Yankees are coming off losing 2 out of 3 to Toronto in what was a series where they pretty much struggled offensively for most of that series, especially in the clutch, and got good pitching. And I would say that in the Baltimore series, that pretty much continued. Excellent pitching throughout the series. The most runs that Baltimore scored was 4 in the third game, and 2 of those runs were in extra innings when you have a runner on second base to start. So superb job, especially by the bullpen and really by the starters too. I mean, honestly, the only poor performance that comes to mind was Domingo Germán. Other than that, honestly, everyone has been pretty excellent. So the Yankees would have Jordan Montgomery on the mound for game 1, and he would be opposed by Jorge Lopez for Baltimore. And the Yankees, nothing was really going on. And then in the 4th inning, Aaron Judge gets what I would call a Yankee Stadium home run to right field. Solo homer gives the Yankees a 1-0 lead. And then in the 5th, Aaron Hicks would come up with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And he's been struggling and still batting third. And it looked like he might have struck out. It did. And I can't recall, these games kind of all mesh into one, whether it was a check swing that they said he didn't go around, or if it was a strike that they called the ball. One of the two. I'm leaning towards that I think he might have swung and they said that he held. But he ends up walking, and it was fortunate. And what really ended up hurting Baltimore was that the next batter was Giancarlo Stanton, who hits a 471-foot home run. I mean, just a mammoth shot. This is what he does. And, you know, the Yankees go up 6-0, and it was that is what you get out of Stanton. And Judge to, you know, a similar degree. And in that moment, it reminded me, like, well, this is the Yanks. Like, this is kind of, you know, especially against Baltimore, too, at the stadium. Or, you know, Camden Yards also. But this is what you're going to get. And they would score another run the next inning. LeMahieu would get an RBI single. 7-0 would be the final. Montgomery pitches 6 innings, scoreless ball, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Luis Cessa would pitch 2, you know, good innings. He would get 3 strikeouts in those 2 innings. And Aroldis Chapman would make his season debut, and he struck out the side. Looked good, and looks like he's using a new splitter. So, you know, he definitely needs to add to his repertoire. You know, he only has that fastball and the slider, so the splitter was impressive. They win 7-0. You know, you get the home run out of Judge, you get the grand slam out of Stanton. You know, very home run heavy, but look, you take it. You take it. Game 2, a lot of the same. I'd say it was a very similar game. First off, Garrett Cole, unbelievable. He ends up going 7 innings, scoreless ball, no walks, 13 strikeouts. Just probably his best outing as a Yankee. He had some other really good performances last year, but this one felt like it was the best. And also, Kyle Higashioka was catching Cole in this game. And we know Cole likes to throw to Higashioka, and this certainly doesn't hurt that. I mean, I don't think it'll be like a strict Cole-Higgy platoon, but again, that's going to continue for sure. So they were in good hands there. And then in the second inning, Jay Bruce, another Yankee Stadium home run, a high pop to right, and it goes out. Bruce hits a solo home run. And, you know, one of his few contributions so far to the team was that home run. And they would score a couple more runs. LeMahieu hits a double play, which scores a run. And then Aaron Judge, with 2 outs, gets a clutch RBI single. Gives the Yankees a 3-0 lead. Later on, Stanton would get an RBI double to make it 4-0. And then Aaron Judge, 3-run homer. 3-run homer for Judge, 7-0. So a lot of good out of Judge in these first 2 games. Stanton as well, but especially Judge. And Green would pitch a good 8th. And then in the 9th, this is where kind of this is going to turn a bit here, just a little bit. Going for the shutout, 2 outs, so on. Lucas Licky on the mound. Ryan Mountcastle, it's a pretty innocent ground ball to Gleyber Torres, and he kind of just takes his time, kind of lackadaisical with it, and Mountcastle beats it out. And it looked on the replay like he was out. But the call, they reviewed it, but it stood. But it should have never even come down to that. Next batter, Rio Ruiz, 2-run homer. So the Yankees almost beat the Orioles 7-0 in back-to-back games, but were unsuccessful in doing so, as the Orioles get that 2-run homer in the 9th. Yankees win at 7-2. So, again, first 2 games, not a whole lot to complain about. And then the 3rd game. So, Jameson Taillon versus John Means. And on paper, this would be the toughest game for the Yanks out of the 3. Means is a good pitcher. And, Taillon's making his Yankee debut, and he hasn't pitched in a long time. It's been a little less than 2 years since he's pitched in the major leagues. And he pitched really well. He was actually perfect through 3. And then in the bottom of the 3rd, Aaron Hicks would get an RBI single. What I should say first before that, Aaron Judge was out of the lineup. How can I forget this? Aaron Judge, they're describing it as general soreness in his left side. So, yeah. Think that screams injured list. And here we are again with Judge. And he had plenty of moments in this game where a player that is not hurt could have easily pinch hit. That did not happen. Judge did not pinch hit. Boone after the game said he's not sure, if he'll play Friday. And I think with, Tropicana, they're playing in Tropicana Field in Tampa, where it's turf. I would honestly be pretty surprised if we see Judge Friday and beyond too. Would any Yankee fan be shocked if all of a sudden he's headed up to the injured list and who knows when he's coming back, if it's some type of oblique injury? I just wish that the transparency was better with this team. And you know what? It's on Boone and it's on Judge. Boone's the one answering the questions. Hopefully Judge can speak to the media at some point. And look, you feel bad for the guy, but it's just so consistent. You can count on it. And it's only a matter of time before Stan gets hurt too. It's going to happen. It just is. There's something wrong with Judge. For a while, you could write it off as, some freak injuries. The guy is injury prone. And you cannot give this guy a long-term contract. It would be a mistake. It'd be a complete mistake. Look, and he's a fan favorite. I like the guy a lot. When he's on the field, he's mostly productive. Obviously he has flaws to his game, but it's not his fault that Cashman constructed a team that has players built exactly like him. So, Judge, out. Who knows when we'll see him again. So, again, knew I was going to say that. I was hoping I wouldn't, say that he had general soreness 5 games into the fucking season, but here we are. So back to the game. Hicks gets the RBI single, which is a surprise, and we'll talk about the runners in scoring position problems for this team. Go to the top of the 4th. Unfortunately, after you get the run, you'd like your pitcher to it's always key to not give up runs. Unfortunately, Time would give him a couple of solo shots to Cedric Mullins and Anthony Santander to make it 2-1. But again, besides that, very good outing for Taillon. Goes 4 2/3, no walks, 7 strikeouts, just 3 hits. Excellent first outing for Jameson Taillon. Now comes, again, where the Yankees just throughout this game could not get the big hit. And, everything kind of gets sort of not lost, but there were so many innings where the Yankees had runners on base where they just couldn't get the job done. I guess one comes to mind. I believe it was, the 6th inning. They get a double from, I guess it was Sanchez. Sanchez doubles in the 6th. And at this point, Means is out of the game or close out of the game. As I know, Tanner Scott ends up coming in. Tanner Scott finishes off the inning. And Gio Urshela flies out. And then they bring in Tanner Scott to face Gardner. And that was an example right there where there's a couple of situations where lefty Gardner, normally, okay, you just pinch hit Judge. But clearly he's injured, so that's why he's not playing. This is a bigger issue than they're making it seem. So Gardner would strike out against Scott. So the Sanchez double is wasted, and the game stays 2-1. And keep in mind, the bullpen did a fantastic job for the Yanks tonight. Nick Nelson would relieve Tyone and pitch a good 1 1/3 inning of shutout ball. Darren O'Day would pitch a scoreless 7th. Bottom of the 7th, LeMahieu gets a leadoff single. And Torres, who I did not like his at-bats for the most part tonight, he would line out to right in that situation, but I did not like his at-bats in general. We'll get to him. Then Aaron Hicks, it was a close 3-1 pitch that honestly looked like a ball. They called it a strike. He could have walked. And that's, again, for Hicks, that's as good as you can pretty much ask for. And again, he did get that RBI single earlier, so credit for that. But then Hicks would chase a high pitch. It was ball 4, swings at it, strikes out. And then Stanton, he gets the count to 2-0. And we're seeing this a lot this year. The Yankees are getting into advantageous counts, and then they're just totally screwing it up for themselves, swinging at pitches that aren't even close. Stanton would swing at 3 pitches that got worse each time that were low and inside, and he swung over them each time he strikes out. So the LeMahieu leadoff single, wasted. So in the 8th, Loaisiga, clean 8th. Clean 8th inning for Loaisiga. There's 2 outs, no one on. And I believe Armstrong is in at this point for the Orioles. Sanchez rips a ball to left. And it looks like it's hit well. Looks like Mountcastle is going to catch it, but he doesn't. Kind of misplays it. But Gary was just looking at the ball. He had the bat in his hand still. And look, would he have gotten there? If he was running like a normal person would he have reached second base? Questionable. I'm not sure. But he completely just watched the ball, and so he ends up at first. Keep in mind also that earlier in the game, there was a single by Urshela to right. I think it was either Urshela or Gardner. Pretty sure it was Gio, where Sanchez just barely got to second base. I mean, that would have been a joke if they threw him out. I believe there was 2 outs as well. So, again, with Sanchez, it's things like that where even when he's playing well, he's just kind of lollygagging out there. I don't get it with him. So they pinch run Tachman, which ends up being a brilliant, an obvious move, but a brilliant move. And these are spots where the Yankees can come through. Runner on first and 2 outs. Sometimes I see them get doubles, and that's exactly what happened. Urshela hits one of the gap, and it was a really close play at the plate, but Tachman was safe. Tachman beats the throw, ties the game up at 2. Chapman comes in the 9th, strikes out the side. And then bottom of the 9th, now in the bottom of the 8th, they would get another chance, and Gardner would reach on an infield single, and then LeMahieu would ground out. It's interesting and we'll get into LeMahieu a little bit. And this is just, I love LeMahieu, but it's being I guess a little bit hard on him. But in the bottom of the 9th, I can't recall. I mean, honestly, each inning they pretty much didn't get the job done. But nothing's ringing a bell in terms of what happened in the bottom 9th. Maybe it'll come to me when I think about the 10th. No, I think they went down because Stanton would have been the runner in the 10th. So I'm pretty sure they went down 1, 2, 3 in the 9th. Almost certain. So top of the 10th rolls around and Chad Green comes in. He gets the first out. So keep in mind there's a runner on second. So runner on second, 1 out. Next batter hits a ground ball to Green. Unfortunately, he doesn't field it cleanly. If he does, he has the runner dead to rights in between second and third. But he's not able to field it cleanly. And then he bounces it to Jay Bruce, who is able to scoop it. And again, I don't think anyone feels really comfortable with Jay Bruce at first. It went from a situation where he wasn't going to make the team. He ended up playing pretty poorly towards the end of spring training. Voit gets hurt. Now he's like their everyday first baseman no matter what. And that's just a really bad situation. Really bad. And it would get worse. So runner on third, 2 outs. At this point, it was unfortunate that Green couldn't get that runner, but he gets the out. It was ugly, but it happened. So a ground ball is hit with 2 outs to Gleyber Torres. I believe it was Pedro Severino was the batter for Baltimore. Ground ball to short, and it's just a ball that is thrown right into the dirt, and Jay Bruce could have scooped it and couldn't. So that combination, it's scary. It's not good. It needs to stop. First off, Jay Bruce, I hope we see less of him. He shouldn't even be a factor. He really should not be. Just go in a different direction. I know he can run into a home run, and whatever, but like, I'm done with him. But more importantly, Gleyber Torres, we need to stop this experiment at shortstop. It's not even an experiment, but Gleyber Torres at shortstop, it needs to stop. And Boone can say whatever he wants and make it seem like it's fine. This guy can't play shortstop. Just stop already. I'm sick of this shit. Because we saw he was a good second baseman. Leave him there. And do what you need to do. Because this guy is... I don't like in terms of his range, it's not great to begin with, and his throws are off. You can't, as a Yankee fan, you'd be lying if you said you weren't nervous every time that ball is hit to this guy. Every time. And not for nothing, right now, he's not exactly doing a whole lot at the plate, especially with runners in scoring position. I see him get hits when no one's on, but he has not come through in big spots. He's had terrible at-bats. I'm getting tired of it. And, I think that he's a big part of this future. He's very young. He is very talented. But one thing I know is shortstop, it needs to stop. Seriously. I'm fine with having a weak hitting shortstop that can field the fucking position. We need to be done with this. So the run scores. And they hold it there at 4-3. At 3-2. And in extra innings, I feel like that's all right. If you just give up one run, that's okay. I think the stat was not so much in the extra innings, but just in general, when there's a runner on second, no outs, I think that run scores, around 60% of the time. So it's okay. You just don't want to give up more than a run. So Tyler Wade pinch runs for Stanton. And Frazier strikes out. Really rough night for Frazier. Unfortunately, I would not be surprised if he gets moved down the lineup. I like him, but, I knowing the way that they view things, don't be surprised when Sanchez gets moved up and Frazier gets moved down. Then Jay Bruce, of course, he strikes out. Shocker. And then Kyle Higashioka, 2-0 count against Valdez, is able to get a base hit to right field. And luckily, because Tyler Wade was pinch running, he beats the throw. So Tachman pinch running, Wade pinch running really comes in handy. So they tie the game. Big hit by Higashioka. It's 3-3 at this point. And Urshela would make the last out. We go into the 11th, and Chad Green starts the inning, and I was a little bit surprised by that, only because he had pitched last night, but they were kind of thin. They're rolling with it because they sent Michael King down, and they didn't replace him with anyone. They are rolling with a pitcher short. I think Justin Wilson is actually going to come back on Friday. Still, kind of a risky thing to do, and it didn't cost them, but Green starts the 11th, and Baltimore bunts successfully to get the run over to third, which I also found kind of interesting. Usually in the top of the inning, you want to try to get as many runs as you can. You'd be more likely to see someone bunt in a tie game in the bottom of the inning. But it works out where, because the infield was drawn in, they would get a bloop single to give them a 4-3 lead. Dropped in front of Gardner, gives them a 4-3 lead. Then Green would walk Mullins, and Luis Cessa would come in. First and second, one out. And at this point, it's big. You want to hold the runner. So, again, one run is acceptable. He would walk Mancini. So, here we go. Bases loaded, one out. But then he would get out of it. He would strike out Santander. And then he would strike out McKenna, who was in the game. So, good job by Cessa. Continued excellence from the bullpen so far. Now, in the 11th, down by one. And Paul Fry is in, a left-handed pitcher for Baltimore, and Urshela's on second. And Gardner bunts him over. And I have to say, I was fine with that. No problem at all. I didn't want it to take the bat out of LeMahieu's hands, which it didn't. But that was my biggest concern more than anything. So runner on third, one out. And LeMahieu, as good as he has been this year, and he is great, and he, and you can't even kill him for this at-bat. Unfortunately, he just didn't hit the ball far enough. He didn't. The ball, it was too shallow. And they sent Urshela, and Santander threw him out by a mile. He was out by a mile. So it is a bad look when you're thrown out by that much. But look, was Gleyber Torres really going to get the hit coming up? I mean, I guess, maybe, but I wouldn't count on it. So, especially with LeMahieu up right there, your best hitter, I don't blame them for sending Gio. And it looked like he was kind of hurt or something at the end of that. So, Boone said he seems to be okay after the game, but who knows? Who knows? So, they lose it 4-3, and just another really tough loss. And again, it's not about the wins and losses. It's how they're losing these games. So they were 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position tonight. They left 12 men on, and one of the hits was a Gardner infield single in the 8th. So really the only 2 clutch hits was Hicks and Higashioka. You know, the big thing now is Judge's status. You know, I'm not optimistic there. And there's just things I'm seeing that is just beyond frustrating, that Brian Cashman needs to look at this team, and unfortunately, he's going to have to shake up this core. I trust that this team can win the division, can end up with a very good record. And the playoffs is a small sample size. Could you somehow sneak your way through? I guess. But I don't believe that the way that this team is structured, that they're going to be able to get it done. I don't trust this lineup. Everyone talks about how great it is, and I get, if you look at the stats, they're going to end up with a ton of runs. I get it. But you need to shake this up. Again, some of these players seem too complacent. The effort is questionable, lifeless at times, and you just know the series at Tampa, come on, like that bullpen is going to shut us down. Your best chance is when you face Rich Hill on Friday and Chris Archer on Saturday. And this is their home opener, and they're coming off getting swept by Boston. They're going to be fired up. So you really wanted to get this sweep against Baltimore after losing 2 out of 3 to Tampa, because I can tell you this, that Tampa series is going to be tough. We have struggled mightily at the Trop. So that's where we're at right now. Another frustrating loss for the Yanks. The sky isn't falling, but we'll see. A few more typical injuries, a few more not getting it done in the clutch, and we'll see. So I'll talk to you soon.